we're talking Packers. So it's going to be the Colts and Anthony Richardson going into Lambeau to face, is it Malik Willis? Is it Sean Clifford? It's not Jordan Love. It's this new look Packers. And I just tell you, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with the run game of the Colts. I think the Colts are going to be able to control the ball, get ahead in this game. And I think once the Colts are ahead, Malik Willis, we have not seen him play quarterback at a consistent level in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he's going to be able to win a game from behind, and I think the Colts are going to get ahead early in this game. It might not be a blowout, but I do think that the Colts are going to control this game from whistle to whistle with their run game, with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor predominantly taking it to this Packers defense, who, albeit is a good defense, but they're not going to be able to overcome having a minus at quarterback, which I'm sorry, but I think that Malik Willis is not going to get you a win as a quarterback at this point in his career. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Green Bay is going to have an extremely difficult time keeping the ball in their possession this week with no Jordan Love. Jordan Love did have a tough week one. I think we can both agree that we came out of week one agreeing that Matt LaFleur is really the real deal, and he really makes players open as opposed to, Jordan Love throwing guys open at this point in his career. Still some concerns for Jordan Love when he gets healthy. As far as his development, I think you were beating the drum from the beginning about whether or not he was going to be that it guy, that superstar quarterback. And you're right, that remains to be seen, but we'll see when he gets back healthy. Hope he gets back healthy as quickly as possible. But as far as Malik Willis, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to rely on Josh Jacobs a lot this year or this weekend. Ultimately, I'm concerned that they're just not going to hang on to the football long enough. And really, on the positive side, I think Indianapolis has a lot of things going for them on the offensive side of the football. Anthony Richardson, I mean, that one pass he made last weekend was probably the most ridiculous pass I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's extremely talented. I'm extremely excited for his development. One also great sign for the Colts is their offensive line. It seems like it's officially back. Last year, it seemed like Quentin Nelson was having struggles along with the entire offensive line. So they had a really good week last week. I think Richardson really just missed a couple of throws. A.D. Mitchell could have had over 120 plus receiving yards last week if they had connected on a few passes. Jonathan Taylor that can always pop off any weekend. I think they're going to have too many opportunities on the offensive side of the ball to not win this game versus Green Bay. I expect great things from Matt LaFleur in bunches in this game, but ultimately I think there's just too much talent on the offensive side of the football for Indianapolis for sure.
I mean, I think there's something to be said for the Colts offense in having a guy like Anthony Richardson as your quarterback. He's a threat as a runner. He has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. You don't know if he can put it all together yet, but if you're a defender playing against him, he could put it together against you in that play. And so you got to be ready to either crash down to the line of scrimmage and tackle a guy that's built like Cam Newton, or be ready over the top because he's going to be unleashing a bomb. I mean, there's just so much pressure on the defense on any given snap compared to, I feel like I'm singling the guy out, but like compared to Gardner Minshew last season, I think it opens up the Colts offense a lot more. And I think it allows for their offensive line to play with the element of surprise based on the fact that they have just one of the most, the most explosive quarterback in the NFL. I don't think there's any other way I think, there are other measurables for sure, but when you talk about making that throw, the running ability that he has, and just how dynamic of a player he can be, along with Jonathan Taylor at the mesh point, as the play action running back, I think that this offense has a very, very high ceiling that they can reach on any given play. So I think that will help them in the long run in terms of like you said, I think the offensive line is playing better, and I think it has a lot to do with the quarterback that they're blocking for. So
Yep.
big things are in the future for the Colts.
And I don't think anyone else in the league, any other quarterback, can East Bay dunk. So yeah, he's the guy.
So he's a unicorn. Yeah.
I got -3.
I mean, well, what about? Yeah, I mean Baker Mayfield could probably yam from the free throw line, I'm assuming. But no, one thing I wanted to pick your brain on real quick is if things go south for the Pack, let's say it looks bad with Malik Willis, will they go straight to Sean? Are they going to trust Sean Clifford as the quarterback going forward? How soon do you think they would go to somebody like Ryan Tannehill? Didn't Mike LaFleur, Matt's brother, call a Ryan Tannehill offense at one point? I mean, I don't know. Isn't Matt LaFleur, wasn't he the offensive coordinator for Ryan Tannehill initially before Arthur Smith was there in Tennessee? I mean, look that up for me, but I don't know. That's an interesting thought now that I think about it in just terms of, is this going to be the Packers' best answer as a quarterback if they think that they could get Jordan Love back at some point this season? Are they going to just totally punt it and allow a guy like Malik Willis or Sean Clifford to just fumble the rest of the season away? Or I don't know. I think that they're going to try, like any team would, to put their best foot forward at quarterback. And if that means looking outside of the organization and getting a guy like, I don't know. My mind keeps going to Ryan Tannehill. Maybe it'll happen. What do you think, Christian?
Well, yeah, I think there is a report saying that they did go have an interview with. They've reached out to Ryan Tannehill in some way, some fashion. I don't know if there's any realistic chance that he comes in at least this week or next week, but yeah, it depends how well they look, how well they fare against these upcoming teams.
I guess if it were go ahead.
Yeah, let me just look at the schedule real quick for Green Bay, but ultimately, yeah, I do think there's some issues for Green Bay going forward. They were my favorite to come out of this division at the start of the year. So I do have some concerns now. It looks like they're going to have the Titans after the Colts. They're going to have the Vikings, and then they're going to have a beaten up Rams team. So they could get through the next couple of weeks. I think they could make it 500. Ultimately, that's all you're looking for from a backup, is to kind of go 500. So we'll see.
I mean,
but you're right. There's still guys too. I mean, Tyler Huntley is still available, I believe. Jameis, you could always pick him up. You could scoop him up from the Browns. I still think there's guys who have been in the locker room that maybe you would choose, maybe that are cheaper options than Ryan Tannehill, who's been off the street.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think about the guy like Baker Mayfield who got traded to the Rams and started after a day. I mean, I know that that's an anomaly or whatever it was. He was on the flight to LA reading the playbook. If an opportunity like that presents itself, and Baker Mayfield did go to the Rams and win that debut game, if I'm a guy like Ryan Tannehill, I'm throwing my papers in the air saying, please, somebody could come get me. I'll study the entire flight there. I'll study your whole playbook. Quarterback play is at such a deficiency at this point in the NFL. And we're seeing, such a low level of play across the league among starting quarterbacks that if I were a guy on the fringe, I would be, looking for any opportunity I could get and running with it. So if they interviewed Ryan Tannehill, I think that he should be obviously doing everything he can to get that job. And I am confirming that Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator for the Titans, the play caller for the Titans for one season, and that was what got him the Packers job. So I do believe he's called an offense for Ryan Tannehill in the past. So just something to keep an eye on.
I'm looking around the league. I mean, there aren't really too many backups that I can really say, hey, let's pluck them off the roster.
You're not getting Bagent. You ain't getting Bagent, that's for sure.
Yeah. Maybe like a Sam
So,
Ellinger.
yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
I'm not trying to. I mean, I'm not. Seems like a nice guy, but
I mean,
I think the Colts
Carson
have seen enough of him.
Carson Wentz. Would you partake in Carson Wentz?
Well, if I'm a Packer fan over Malik Willis any day of the week,
What would you give up? Fourth? Fifth?
for Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz Kansas City would just be the rich getting richer, being able to flip him for a fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but quarterbacks aren't going to come cheap, so it could very well be that, But who knows? I think the Packers will usually they find a way to work their voodoo magic and conjure up a Hall of Fame quarterback out of thin air. So we'll see what happens.